Welcome to my channel. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I've got a new watch here for you. This watch arrived today, and this is going to be the unboxing. This is the Parnis PA6048, better known as the Daytona or Panda Chronograph. Now, this is not the first review for this watch by any means. There's a lot of reviews out there which and they're quite good, and they're done by people who've read thesauruses back to front, and have memorized half the dictionary. But I ordered a different colorway option on there, and well, let's do unboxing. Let's see what it is. So it came wrapped in yellow tape in an envelope in this white foam box. Let's see what's inside. Okay, so the watch is in this bubble wrap. Disappointingly, they didn't bring a box, or sorry, send a box. Now, if you're familiar with my reviews, I do make a comment on the packaging, and I believe, you know, I actually thought Parnis was similar to Pagani, so if they are at that level, I think they should, you know, provide some packaging. Well, it's come in a plastic bag. So obviously the main thing is the watch, so let's get to that. Right, it's out the bag, and it's absolutely covered in this damn plastic. Now, so I'm taking probably 3.5 hours to open this out, but you know what, straight away I'm actually blown away by this dial. Look at that dial. Wow. That is an amazing dial. When I was choosing this, obviously this watch has been out for a while now, and I've known about them, but I never got around to actually buying it until the other day. Looking at the different colors, and I looked at some reviews on YouTube, but I couldn't see this color on YouTube, so I thought, you know, I'll buy this, and I'm glad I did. It looks absolutely amazing. Okay, well, I'll be back in a few hours once I open all this packaging. Right, you know what, for those of you watching, let me tell you, taking off all that cling film was in and of itself a monstrous task. It took the mick. Honestly, I was fighting this for a good 10-15 minutes to get it all off, but yeah, anyway, now that's off. First impressions, you know what, I love the dial. Let's see if I can get yeah, I think the color, yeah, is actually true to what it looks like on the video. Listen, this is the best thing about this dial, about this watch, sorry. Even if the watch is absolute pants, I'm not saying it is. If it was, you know, I'd keep it just for that dial. I love this watch already, but let's try and remain unbiased. Yeah, so let's have a quick walk around the whole watch. Let's go around it. What is that hideous thing? That's nasty. So first impressions, I actually really do like this watch. I flicked off there. Yeah, and I'm wondering why I never bought it before. So specifications wise, and this is from Parnis's website, or rather the seller from AliExpress that I bought it from. Sapphire glass, stainless steel body, bezel, and of course it's a, as you can see, it's a chronograph. And the movement in this is a Japanese VK64 Meca-Quartz, sorry, VK63 Meca-Quartz movement. Now, if you're anything like me, when I heard about the Meca-Quartz movement first, I was absolutely intrigued. I didn't know what that was. Is that mechanical and quartz? So just a quick bit of information on the Meca-Quartz movement. So it's a Japanese movement, and this one is the Hitori S2, and it's used in it has been used in a lot of older watches. There are a few Seikos with it, and there's a few micro brands that use this movement as well. Now what it basically is, it's a quartz run watch, so the timing is all quartz, so you get the quartz accuracy, and on the movement that is plus or minus 20 seconds a month. The mechanical part is, well, there's a mechanical module within the watch that runs the actual chronograph function, and we'll go into that a little bit later. So as the movement goes, it is a very interesting movement, and this is my first Meca-Quartz watch, so this will be interesting for me, just to learn a little bit more about the actual movement and what it does. Right, so let's get into the close-ups. First thing, dial, my favorite thing about this watch by far. So looking at it closely, you've got this sunburst effect, and it's a what is it, like a pastel green, teal. You know, I'm not very good with my colors, and it's against the black bezel, so there's a nice contrast there. And with the black bezel, you've got these black rings around the smaller dials. So you got a second hand. The minute and hour hands have got this thin application of lume, and the indices also, they've got quite thin buttons where the lume has been applied. There's no Arabics on the dial, and the overall quality, here's a very crisp dial, crisp finish, and you can see on the smaller sub dials you've got these rings around them. Absolutely clear, crisp printing. You know, the like printing on a dial just shows you that, again, on the manufacturing process, it is very good. Like, I know color is subjective, but to me this is the, shall I say, yeah, best setup in terms of the color option. I love it. So while we're on the dial, might be the best time to show you the Meca-Quartz in action. So let's operate the quartz action, the chronograph. So I think you've got roughly 6 ticks a second, which imitates an automatic movement, but that's not the mechanical part of it. Pay attention to the subdial on your left. So the subdial on your right is a 24-hour clock. The one on the bottom is your seconds, which is just ticking once a second. But see this subdial here on the left hand side, which is your minute marker. Now on a normal quartz watch, once this seconds hand rotates a full minute, that the minute hand will move 1 after it crosses the 12. But as you can see, it's off the 60 mark. So that's the mechanical part. So in a Meca-Quartz movement, the chronograph is sort of governed by a mechanical module. So the quartz and the mechanical sorry, the mechanical part of it work hand in hand. So as you can see, it's moving with the seconds hand, and then when you reset it, rather than your normal Seiko movements where the second hand rotates all the way around, it'll just snap back, and you get a mechanical sound coming off that, which is a nice sound. Moving on to the bezel, it's a non-rotating bezel, ceramic, with all your numbers around the side, like you'd expect on a chronograph watch. Crown, high polish on the side, knurled. It doesn't screw down, so let's pop it out. Oh, this thing's not popping out. There we go. So if you pop once, let's see what it does. I can hear something, but I don't know what I can hear, because I don't know if you've noticed, there is no date function on the watch, so that could be a date function within the movement, but it's not present on the dial, so I don't see anything happening. Okay, let's do it once more. Okay, so now that moved the time. It's a very light turn, so normally when you turn, like the autos especially, you do feel a slight bit of torque within the crown, but it's quite light. So as I move that, you can see the 24-hour dial moving as well, and you just set it. It does hack, so the second hand has stopped at the bottom. There we go. These pushers screw down, so you can't press that anymore. Now I don't know if you could hear it when you do press them in. Listen to this sound. So it's a very mechanical sound, you know, it's a very positive pushing sound that you get. Now it might not be as refined as the new chronographs, but I think due to it being mechanical, a Meca-Quartz, that it makes that sound. And I like the way it does that. It's like an old stopwatch. Did you hear that mechanical sound there? When it resets, let's do it again. Yeah, it's quite a solid push, which it feels nice. It does feel nice. Moving on to the case, let's have a look. So you've got a nice high polish around the case. Nailing on the chronograph. Screw down rings. And high polish around the lugs. It's a very smooth case, no sharp edges, and it's quite a slender watch, so if you look at it, it's not very thick. It does look quite sleek, sporty, and classy, I'll say, and I think it's classier because of the colour on the actual dial. So all in all, build quality is amazing, and this is my first Parnis watch. I hope I'm saying it right, but yeah, you can see the crystal sits slightly proud. I'd say about 1/4 of a mil maybe, which I don't mind that too much. Okay, now because the description said sapphire, let's check if it is. And while that probe heats up, let's move on to the case back. No logo on the back or anything of the sort. It's a Rolex style case back. I wish they hadn't, because I wanted to open this, but I don't have the correct dies. I wanted to see the actual movement. But you know, I know it's the homage of the Rolex Daytona, so that's what they've gone with that. Okay, the probe is now ready. Let's do this. Ooh, oh yes, sapphire. It was a bit slow there, but 100% sapphire. So impressive. There's no AR coating, and I think with the dial in question, AR coating would clash with that. But on the other colorway options, it should be fine. But I don't mind too much about the AR coating, but I love that it is actually sapphire. Let's move around to the bracelet. So bracelet, I like this. It's tapered, as you can see clearly on the camera there. Brushed on the outside, curved end link, and it looks to be actually solid end links, which is good. Just reduces that rattle, and yeah, there's no movement on the top, or hardly any. And you've got this high polish through the center, which I don't mind, but it is going to be susceptible to sort of light scuffs and scratches. Now, so far, I can see all positives. You know, even actually on the weight, I don't know what the exact weight is, and I haven't got scales to check that. And the feel of it is really nice in the hand. Now, moving on further on into the actual bracelet, this is the first like major no, it's not even a little no for me. This clasp is disgusting. You know, I've got to say, it is absolutely horrendous. You know, it's a Daytona homage, so they could have gone with that Rolex style clasp, or even a butterfly clasp with a smaller profile or a thinner profile. This is just totally the wrong clasp for the watch. It actually stands out. So when you do look at the watch, and earlier on when I was doing my initial impressions, I couldn't hold back, and it's absolutely disgusting. And they've got this, you know, Parnis on there. There's no need for that at all. And it's got these ugly buttons here on the side. They look like crocodile teeth. I don't know why you would have that, but it does have micro extensions. And I actually discovered this by accident while I was fighting with the cling film. If you pull on the bracelet, you get like a 5mm extension, which is, you know, fair play for to Parnis for adding that feature. Can't go wrong. Further on, it does have this scissor-like clasp, which I actually like, and there's this pattern which has been CNC'd on. That's quite nice. But you know, this thing, absolutely disgusting. And the corners, it's got like sharp edges on the corner. That's actually quite sharp, you know. I might have to, yeah, I'm gonna change this part if it can be helped. You know, horrendous. Why would you do that, Parnis? Why? It's quite a solid click. You have to push it quite hard to get it to engage. Right, let's move on to measurements. So on the manufacturer's specifications, they say the dial's 39mm. I've double checked that with my vernier digital caliper, and it is indeed 38.5. So no, 38.8. So yeah, round it up to 39mm. The case thickness, the manufacturer states it's 13.3, but in fact it's 12.8. The bracelet size is 20mm. The width between of the lugs is 25mm. Now the reason I mentioned the width is because what I've found is the wider the lugs are, it gives you that added comfort on your wrist. Lug to lug is 46.5. So this is a brilliant watch for the smaller wristed people out there like myself. And for me, this is what I would call a mid-size watch, but it's not too small because personally I don't like the smaller end of the watches. So I've had your smaller Seiko 5s, and I didn't really like them. They're just too small for me. So this is a really good size, and even on people with a larger wrist size, it should look okay on there. But especially for the guys with the smaller wrists, it is actually bang on. Weight wise, I couldn't find any information on the listings that the various sellers have on AliExpress. for the watch. So because I don't have a scale, I don't know, but it has got weight, you know, but it's not heavy. Okay, let's try a lume shot. Let's see what lume we have on this watch. Yeah, nothing spectacular on the lume, and this reminds me of my Quartz watches. Obviously, because it's not a dive watch, so they don't have the really bright or bold lume, but it's sufficient. You can definitely see it. You can see the hour and the minute hand, so that's not too bad. Yeah, I really like what they've done with the watch. Even the writing on the top, you know, it's nothing nothing that's in your face or it takes away from the watch at all. In terms of color options, it varies on the different stores on AliExpress, but the one I bought it off, the link to that shop would be in the description. There are a few different color options, so that's good. I think the black one does look really nice, black on black, and they've got the white face panda, and they've got a few other options, so check them out. For me, this was the one I had to have a look at. There is also another one. It's like a light, very light, almost powder blue dial, which looks fantastic as well. In terms of like the homogenous, obviously it's a homage of a Rolex Daytona. You know how close it is to the Daytona. It's just from there you can sort of see what it's trying to copy, but it's not that close to the Daytona. So I like what they've done. They have put their own little features on the watch. I love that they went for a Meca-Quartz movement, and then they went for like you know, a different kind of Japanese or Chinese quartz movement. So to summarize overall, as this being my first Parnis, I think it does compare quite closely to the Pagani. What I didn't like about the watch was the lack of packaging, in terms of, you know, as a brand, what do they really think of themselves. Also, what I didn't like, as I've made it quite clear, is this .T clasp. It's absolutely garbage. It just takes away. I mean, look at the profile of the actual watch. So, you know, your bracelet here tapers down, and then you've got this big bulky. Look at this. Look at this. No, and I don't know why they've done that, because they really have spoiled the look of the watch. But the good points, they outweigh that thing right there. So it is worth getting, absolutely. And having said that, I do have the Pagani Daytona coming as well, so it'll be a good comparison between the two, which I will be doing. Before I end this video, what I'm going to do is, I forgot to mention, there's a good point here, is the screws on the links, they're screws, so they're not those pins, which is a good feature. You know, it makes it really easy to change the bracelet. I'll show you a wrist shot. Now I've done that. I will say the pins for the links on that, they're quite good. It doesn't really zoom. Let's get a focus on it. Yeah, really nice pins, smooth thread, and they do have quite a deep recess for your screwdriver to slot into. But I will say, be careful. Being a flathead, it can slip, and because you got the high polish on the sides of your links and the middle, you could possibly scratch the actual watch, so be careful with that. Okay, let's do the wrist shot. Come on, camera, zoom in. Yeah, see, small wrist, 6.5, but you know what, it fits really well. Just don't look at the clasp. Yeah, it fits really well. And overall, it is a really good watch. And if anyone is thinking of buying it, I'll put the seller's link for AliExpress in the link in the description. Please don't hesitate to use this channel's name. Tell him you saw it on the watcher and get him to give you a discount. Because you know what, these guys are actually getting free advertisement in a way from myself, because obviously I'm not sponsored by any of these brands, and the watches that I'm reviewing is just my personal watches. And as I'm going along, you know, building my collection and just doing my usual trading watches. So drop him a message if you do want to buy it. Get yourself a discount. Why not? And thank you for watching. Remember to hit the subscribe button, add a like, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. As always, they're all appreciated. Thank you very much.
What is this? It's blue.
Maybe blue, but it's the bomb.
Ah, tight, yeah!